Hey everybody, it is Cherie here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tawana's coming back in now. We had a little technical difficulty, but I think we got it figured out. So want to say welcome to everybody tonight. I'm going to see if I can find us really quickly on Facebook so I can see your comments. Yeah, there we go. All righty then. Hold on a second. There we go. Getting in here now. Okay, we did it. We made it. We are live streaming. We are in
Oh,
multiple places today. We're in our Facebook group, our members only group, YouTube, Periscope. Welcome to everybody to the 10K Project. I see
welcome,
Tawana Chapman
welcome.
here, T. Whitehurst. Welcome. So don't forget to share, tell us where you're from, what city and state you are from. Dean Richards is in the building. Hey, Dean, good to
Hi,
see
Dean.
you. So yes. So again, tell us what city and state you're in, and don't forget to share. Tatiana's in here, so we're going to give people a couple of minutes to come on in. We have some updates with regards to what we are doing within the 10K project. We made some huge strides last week. We have some bigger strides that we're making starting on Wednesday. And we're talking tonight about billionaire Robert Smith. He had a plan for corporate America to help Black businesses. We're going to talk about that from our point of view. And of course, you know me, I'm going to be a little controversial, but only a little bit because we do have to get SEC approval. So so we were talking to someone earlier today who's like, I could never do what you guys do because he was like, I would say whatever. And sometimes I know how he feels. But we are going to have the conversation about billionaire Robert Smith. He came out with a plan last week for corporate America to help Black businesses specifically. And he, if you don't know, he was a gentleman last year that gave Morehouse students, he paid off all their student debt. So we're going to talk about, what he suggests in terms of an economic agenda between corporations and Black businesses, and I think it's pretty interesting. So again, everybody tell us your city, your state. We happen to be in the main Black 10K Project Facebook group right now. So I see Fort Myers, Florida. I see West Palm Beach. Every time I see West Palm Beach, I'm like, I'm coming to visit you. DC, Westchester, New York. So yes, so please tell us who you are, where you're coming from, and please don't forget to share the stream. We are over 2,000. Yay! Over
Yay!
2,000, and I know some of you are like, that's not a huge feat. You see all of these other Facebook groups out there, and they seem to be growing like at gigantic speed and all of that. Well, you know what? We are setting the foundation and have been setting the foundation for the last couple of months. We took time to make sure this is what the community wanted. We did focus groups, we did one-on-one calls, and we now are really ready to put our foot on the gas. We have a couple of announcements to make with regards to some of the hires that we've done. And you will begin to see the 10K project really grow and expand over the summertime. So we need the right people as part of this organization and not just numbers. So with that, welcome Quincy, see you in there. Thank you so much for being here. So Eric,
Hi,
how are you doing today?
Very good, very good. I just muted myself. My sons, because one of my sons' youngest son had to work yesterday, so now I'm looking back at them because they're going to Five Guys for me. That's what they're going to do. That's the kind of
ah.
And dad's
So they
got his
asked
order
me what I
in.
wanted or whatever, so that's what
And I
it.
saw one of your sons graduated yesterday
I,
too, huh?
I sure did. I sure did.
What an incredible Father's Day gift you got.
Oh, I was absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I am very blessed. I have great kids, and I'm very, very proud of all of them. You know, so
fantastic.
yes.
Well, let's get started talking about the 10K project. What I'm going to do is show you my screen, share with you a really quick presentation just to get everybody who's new up to speed of what the 10K project is. Then I'm going to introduce my co-founders that are here to tell us about themselves. And we are going to talk about billionaire Robert Smith tonight and his 2% plan for corporate America, helping Black businesses specifically, and some of the controversial things that I have to say. Not all the controversial things, but just a couple. And I'm going to let the rest of my audience chime in here as well. So I can see Joe from Detroit. Hey, Joe, good to see you tonight. So, all righty then. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about the 10K project. So we're a community of Black investors who are funding Black businesses for as little as $100 because Black businesses are the least likely to get funded. Yet we know we're some of the most innovative people in the world. Morgan Stanley did a report that said when our businesses are properly funded, they have just as much of a chance of making it and making the same amount of profits as any other businesses out there. We've seen over the past couple of weeks where there are companies that are committing millions of dollars to Black movements. However, we still believe that the real economic revolution in the community is going to come from the ground up. It's got to come from us up, and not the other way around, or preferably with us working together. So the 10K project is very simple. When 10,000 of us get together, we put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We could start funding our own companies, we can profit from our own innovation, create our own jobs, and help close the wealth gap. We can be the solution to our own problems, and we as investors can earn a return on the money that we're putting in to the projects that we're funding. So what we're technically doing is building something that's called an equity crowdfunding platform that requires Security and Exchange Commission approval. The Securities and Exchange Commission is the SEC. It's a government agency. My joke is there are 3 agencies that will put you in prison. That's the IRS, the FBI, and the SEC. So we are going to be governed by the SEC, which means that our lawyer already told us we all have to have background checks as founders, and everything is going to be above board with this company. But what is equity crowdfunding? So crowdfunding is when a lot of people get together and put in a little bit of money each for a specific purpose. So for example, when politicians run, there's usually there's usually crowdfunding in there where a bunch of people put in, $20, $30, $50 in order for that person to run. The Black Baptist Church, I talk about this all the time. Pastor gets up, says, hey, members, we need $10,000 for a new roof. He passes along the special offering plate. Everybody puts in a few dollars, and next thing you know, the roof is paid for. Well, we're doing the same thing with crowdfunding. However, you, instead of doing a donation to a company, you get equity in that business, or the business is going to take the money as a loan, and you get interest rate on your money. So what does the 10K project do? How does it work? The first thing is you would need to become a member of our community in order to participate. Membership is a one-time, lifetime payment, one time of $100. Then When you become a member, we do all sorts of investor education. You're going to learn everything from basic financial literacy to how to set up family banks to how to analyze a deal that's on the platform the way that a professional investor does. We have very rich, culturally relevant investor education that we're offering. Then once you receive that education, then you get to participate in something called the Bet on Black pitch. And it is similar to a Shark Tank pitch, like someone has said to us earlier today. Basically what happens is the entrepreneur will come in front of the entire community and do their pitch live on a platform like what we're on right now. They will talk to you about what their company is, how long they've been in business. Are they making any revenues? Are they making any profits? How much money are they raising? What are they going to use the money for? When do we get our money back? How do we get our money back? All of those things are discussed in their pitch. Then you, as the crowd, have the opportunity to ask them questions during that live pitch session. But let's say after the pitch, you start doing your research and you have a follow-up question for them. That's no problem. By SEC law, we will have a portal that you will be able to go into and ask the entrepreneur follow-up questions. And that entrepreneur will respond to your follow-up questions. Then you get to decide if you want to bet on that Black business. So you have 100% control over the pitches that over the businesses that you put money in. And the minimum amount that you can put into any business is $100 because we wanted to keep it affordable for everyone. And you may ask, what's the maximum? So the SEC has a calculation that tells you the maximum amount that you can put into all crowdfunding businesses over the course of a 12-month period. And that is based on your income and your net worth. But on a lot of other platforms, the entrepreneurs will say you got to put in a minimum of $1,000 or $700 or even $500. On our platform, the minimum is $100. So we have kept this affordable for everybody. Then after that business is funded, they'll get support. All sorts of support will be offered to them, whether it is, assistance with social media, assistance with getting on the shelves of Walmart or Target. If they need help getting government contracts, whatever it is that they're looking for, we will have a resource list that they can use in order to get the support that they need, using the funds that we, the community, have helped them raise. And then the final thing is return on investment. Now, you have to be prepared to lose it all because these are riskier investments. However, within the investor education, we will give you the best practices that are used by professional investors, and we will tell you that any investment that you do on the platform, you need to expect at least 7 to 10 years before you can get that money back. But at the 10K Project, we are the home of the everyday VC. VC stands for venture capitalist. You are officially an everyday VC. So one more time, what does membership get you? Because we do get this question often. Membership gives you a seat at the table to be able to participate in investing in the businesses on the platform. So you'll get the financial literacy education, and you'll get the opportunity to hear all the pitches and invest in any of the businesses on the platform for life. It's a one-time, lifetime payment of $100. And what's included in the membership education? Everything from how to develop wealth plans to how do you make more money, save more money, reduce debt, repair credit, reduce taxes, develop money-savvy kids, whether you have a kid that's 5 or you have an adult youth that's on their own. How to start family banks, the best practices for analyzing deals on the platform, how to build a strong investment portfolio, creating and preserving family wealth, group economics 2.0, and so much more. This alone, this education alone costs people thousands of dollars, but again, it's complimentary to you. One-time, lifetime payment of $100 to be a part of our community. So some of the things we have coming up is our membership is open. So we do invite you to become a member. You go to the10kproject.com and click on the membership button, and you can, check it out and definitely become a member if you want to be a part of this community. We also have our members only area that is open, and the sessions, the investor education is going to start on July 7th. Tuesday, July 7th is going to be our first session. And I will tell you right now, later on in July, we have Alelia Bundles coming. She is the granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker. We also have a couple of other people on the way. We have another woman named Twyla. Oh, I forgot her last name, but she has grown 3 multi-million-dollar companies, and she is coming in August to talk to us. So whether you are an investor and you want to know what an outstanding entrepreneur looks like, or you are a business owner and you want to learn from Twyla, that's going to be there as well. And we've got some other phenomenal people that I am lining up for the conversations. These are members only conversations we're going to be having. The summer and fall of 2020, we have a publicity tour. We have our publicist working with us. He worked with Tom Joyner and the great actor Bill Duke, and now he is working with the 10K Project. So we're very excited to have him as part of our team. We also have done a deal with We Buy Black, and we talked with the CEO today. We are aligning with them for at least the next 3 months, and they are 100% behind the 10K Project, and they are going to help us with our publicity for the 10K Project. They have over 1.3 million people as part of that family, and they believe in the 10K Project. We Buy Black does, and they're going to be helping us with the marketing that we have. Fall 2020, investor education officially begins. We also, within the fall of 2020, we're going to be releasing the guide to being on the platform. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to know how to get on the platform, that guide is going to come out in the fall. In the meantime, if you want to find out what the SEC regulations are for an entrepreneur to get on any crowdfunding platform, then I definitely would suggest you Google that in order to get that information. And then at the very latest, God willing, we will have SEC approval and investments will begin spring 2021. According to the SEC website, they say it takes 6 months for us to be approved. However, because of COVID and everything else that's happening in the country, we would just want to give ourselves a couple of additional months for a buffer there. So we're going to ask that you please help us. Number 1 is become a founding member. Participate in the 10K Project. You can also join us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Black 10K Project everywhere. And we're going to ask that you share with your like-minded family and friends. And finally, if you know a pastor, a bishop, a community leader, if you're part of a fraternity, a sorority, please introduce us to them. info@the10kproject.com. That is my email address. I would love to speak to them. If you have a favorite podcast that you listen to, you have a favorite social media person that you listen to, and you're like, this would be a great topic for them. We talk about how to build Black wealth and help Black businesses. We did even a session yesterday. We were on a virtual podcast yesterday, a video podcast yesterday. We have like another 4, I think, this week that we're going to be on. So we have a lot going on, but I often say this as well. I don't care if it's 2 or 3 people in the audience. Tawana and I will show up. Yesterday, Talisha was there. Dr. Keisha was there. We will show up. We don't care how small the congregation is or the social media platform is, we will be there. So please, the greatest gift you could give us is membership. The other greatest gift you could give us is the gift of a referral. So with that, I'm going to introduce my lovely Chief Operating Officer, Tawana Rivers. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, because we also know the other important thing, most important thing you can give us is your time. So thank you for that. I always say what my why is when we go around and introduce ourselves on these lives. And I read an article yesterday, actually, and it was a story I had heard a few months ago. And then when I read the article, I recalled, and I was like, that's another why. Like, I keep thinking of all of these whys. And I'll start by saying any way we can help fund Black businesses is an accomplishment, right? Point blank and period. But with the 10K project, the fact that it is an equity crowdfunding platform adds this extra layer of assistance to the entire Black community, right? It's not just about the entrepreneur and the business when you talk about equity. And the article I was reading was about Oculus, and they're not a Black company, but Oculus virtual reality glasses. And they started on a crowdfunding platform that was, you were buying early or pre-selling the actual device. And for $300, you could get the device, early. And I love that kind of crowdfunding. I got so many cool things around my house, nobody else has, because I'm like, I got that on Kickstarter, super excited about that concept. But with this Oculus company, they raised over $2.4 million during their campaign in 2012. And the average investment or backing, because that's really a difference between backing and investing, the average backer gave $300 to get the device. Just a few years later, the company was valued at $91 million. And so this article was saying, had those backers invested the $300 versus gifting it for the reward of the item, that they would have made on average about $43,000. Just that's how their money would have flipped. Just if they would have done 300, the same 300 they got for the device. So, you do the math if they would have done more. And then, as we all know, Oculus went on to be purchased by Facebook and all, So we just think about how equity crowdfunding can change lives, right? When we say that, what it really means. When we talk about closing the wealth gap, this is just one example of what that really means. And for those early investors in Oculus, not the backers, but the people who actually invested, they're sitting somewhere on high, right? they just chilling right now. And so, I just want us to remember that as we're learning all of the financial literacy education stuff, we need to also make sure that make sure that you walk away as our members well-informed about crowdfunding itself, and really the difference between the different crowdfunding platforms and rewards and all of that. And again, I'm gonna close with how I began. Any way we can help fund a Black business is a win-win, right? But when we talk about closing wealth gaps and generational wealth, that needs to come with ownership. So that's my why for this week, and I think it's just absolutely wonderful. And I love that you guys are growing with us and joining us so that we can grow to make this happen. It looks like Sharif froze a little, Eric, but I see you're still there with me.
Yeah, I
still have the feed.
Yes, I was about to say that Sharif froze. Actually, I'm gonna be honest, Wanda, you gave that example when I was like, I have nothing to add. I was like, I mean, because that is what better example than what you gave of just seeing that happen. And yes, the entire process, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe the gentleman who started, tinkering with the Oculus was doing it in his garage. And
Wow.
yeah, and Cherie's back.
Oh, good, Cherie's back.
But yes, to see it go from there, and then yes, absolutely. Then Facebook acquired the product before it even went to market for $1 billion, and to look at that, and absolutely to see that where yes, had that been equity crowdfunding, everyone would have been really in a completely different position. And and I think about it, and if you ever Google that list of Black inventors, I mean, that list is so extensive.
Wow.
You'll just be amazed at all of the Black inventors who have just created things over the years, and all of the patents and stuff like that, and you're like, wow, how it, and it's not just the inventor themselves and their family reaping the benefits, but also the community itself, how we weren't able to take advantage of that, of playing a role and playing a part in that. I remember reading quite some time ago, I started doing this really in-depth study on George Washington Carver. And he was just like, he was like one of the most brilliant men I've just ever read about. And just the way that he was able to look at different agricultural products and see usages for them that no one else was able to see at that time. And the way he was just able to study and look at the environment itself. And it was just fascinating. And all of the different, I mean, I could talk endlessly of all of the different usages that he had from not just peanuts, but sweet potatoes and all those sort of things. And I just say that this is something that I truly believe is ingrained within us. And I want us to really reap the full harvest of that, where yes, absolutely the inventor, the entrepreneur themselves are able to go and to ascend to the heights that we believe they should be at, but also us as a community play a part in that and receive a direct benefit from that. So
I love that. And that, Cherie, I think we need to add to our education list patent and trademarking training. Because as I hear you talking, Eric, and we talk about how many wonderful, innovative ideas we all have, the business aspect of that, right, starts with the patent, right? So that it's yours and you can earn money off. That's the generational wealth, right? When you have that ownership of the thing that then everyone else wants to mimic or borrow or lease or whatever, but you've got the thing. So I think we need to add information about patents and educate our, we talk about the young people that are going to watch this when the pictures start. We need to teach them all of the things. Not just
one of the things that we talked about, and you want to talk to your business development officer there, who's also going to be, or actually it's Dr. Keisha who's going to be working with us to put together the education. Is that if you are an investor and let's say you don't need funding, but you just want to come in and learn entrepreneurship, there's going to be opportunities for you to do that as well, So whether or not you need funding, there are certain basics of a business, because some of you may start side hustles or other things, and you may want to know the basics of business. So we're really here to change the game and to help with economics within the community. So I don't know if Eric mentioned who he was, but he is the Chief Business Development Officer. He is the one that is leading any entrepreneurs that are considering being on the platform. He is putting together that guide along with a couple of others of us and legal counsel in order to tell you how you can get on the platform. So we want to make sure of that. I did see one of our other co-founders, Talisha Shine. She is, I think, still watching. She is our Chief Technology Officer, and she's an ace. And then we have Dr. Keisha Waddell, who couldn't be with us tonight, who is the Chief Instructional Officer. So Tawana, I don't know if you still have the Facebook group up because I think I froze myself out.
But I do, but I can't see the comments. They're not coming through for me.
Okay, so I apologize for that. You know, I should have never touched my camera. That was a no-no during
That's what did it,
podcast, and I know better. But anyway, so Dean Richards did say here, crowdfunding is a major vehicle to create generational wealth, and you're absolutely right about that. Ashley, Brunching Podcast, that's what we were on yesterday. So thank you so much, Ashley, for having us. Dean, I do know about the Earn Your Leisure podcast as well. They are definitely on my list. I want to say hello to Deanna, hello to DT. Comer, let us know where you're coming from as well. So, okay, perfect. Well, I wanted to have a conversation. So, other thing, anybody who's watching, if you have questions, let us know. If you have questions, let us know, because this is a live Q&A session about the 10K project, about, you know, what we're doing. We're transparent with regards to how we're setting this up, et cetera, et cetera. So please feel free to ask your questions. But if there are fewer questions every week, that means that I'm doing a better job of explaining, which is good. However, if I'm not doing a great job of explaining, please let me know, because I definitely want to correct that. And of course, we all want to become better and better as we go. So billionaire Robert Smith did something called the 2% solution. And it is his bold plan to funnel billions to America's Black-owned businesses. Now, it's his bold plan. However, one of the things I will say is I wonder how much money he's putting up for this. But I thought it was interesting. This is from a Forbes article that came out a few days ago. He says that the best way to begin to reverse corporate America's history of structural racism is for big banks and large companies to spend the next 10 years investing directly in banking, telecom, technology, education, and healthcare infrastructure to benefit the Black community. So Smith made the comments after circulating a plan among CEOs that first calls on big banks to capitalize the financial institutions that service Black-owned businesses and minority-run entrepreneurial ventures. During the pandemic, Smith discovered the structural racism in banking firsthand as he tried to help Black businesses and banks that serve Black communities obtain the Paychecks Protection Program loans, the PPP loans, if you're familiar with those. Smith found that Black-owned businesses faced numerous structural obstacles, and as a result, had trouble accessing the emergency financing being provided by the federal government through the banking sector. The nation's 4,700 banks are made up of $20.3 trillion in assets. I want you to listen to these numbers closely. So there are 4,700 banks. They make up $20.3 trillion in assets, but only 21 of those banks are Black owned. So 21 out of 4,700 are Black owned. And of the 21, they only have $5 billion. So $5 billion out of $20.3 trillion. These Black banks are getting like hammered, hammered right now, right? It's less than 1% of America's commercial banking assets. So Smith has the idea that the 10 largest US banks over the last 10 years made $968 billion. That was their net income, $968 billion. If these banks gave 2% of that net income, that would be $19.4 billion. So again, today, the Black banks have $5 billion. Over a 10-year period, they could invest another $19.4 billion into Black banks, which could be used to fund the core Tier 1 capital of community development banks and minority depository institutions that primarily service Black communities. So this is his plan. The first thing to do is to put capital into those branch banks to lend to small businesses to actually create an opportunity set, drive it into these small businesses, which employ 60% plus of African Americans. So remember, we talked a few weeks ago about the government being the #1 employer of Black people, and the #2 employer of Black people are Black businesses. But our Black businesses aren't making enough money to hire people and to sustain payroll. That's a major issue we have, and a lot of that is because we are undercapitalized. So what Robert Smith is proposing is that these large banks help to capitalize Black businesses. Now, I don't know what he means by Tier 1, but this is what he's saying here. So I have a few more things that he says in here. He would take, let's see, the net income of the biggest US companies in finance, healthcare, in healthcare, telecom, and technology. So let me start over again. The net income of the biggest US companies in healthcare, telecom, and technology is $1.3 trillion over the past 10 years, 1.3 trillion. 2% of that is 25 billion. He's suggesting that that 25 billion be used to strengthen the healthcare infrastructure in minority communities, equalize broadband access, fund STEM education at HBCUs, and digitize minority small businesses. His plan calls for the telecom and tech sectors to provide money to help prepare 180,000 students at America's HBCUs for the jobs of the future and to digitize 1 million minority small businesses. Smith believes his playbook for economic justice could not only ensure Black Americans have better access to opportunity, but also increase the nation's economic activity by more than $1 trillion annually. So what he's saying is, by these large corporations putting in just 2% of their net income, it could add $1 trillion to the Black economy, because he specifically says Black in here and not minority.
Correct. So
I'm going to open this up. I do have a couple of thoughts here, but I want to open it up to Tawana and Eric. I know specifically Eric has his comments, so I'm going to open it up.
You want to go first, sir, or can I go first?
You know what? I don't know, Tawana, because we're like fire and ice, so I don't know. Go ahead, Tawana. Let me defer to you first. Yes.
So I'm going to first say, I am nobody compared to Robert Smith, right? Richest Black man in the world, but I think African-American period, right? So richest Black person in the world. Earned all of this wealth in just 18 years, right? Holder of a slew of patents. So, and he has influence. So my first thing is kudos to him for sharing his influence, right? And sharing the privilege that he has now been afforded through his ability to be a billionaire, multi-billionaire. However, before anyone gives a percentage of their revenue to do anything, they have to first acknowledge their part in the problem. Because if they don't acknowledge the part they played in the systemic racism that exists, then once that 2% is given, they're gonna make the same damn mistakes they've been making for all of these last hundreds of years. So that's point number one, right? There has to be acknowledgement of their part, and they have to change the rules and then give the money. They can't just give the money. So that's point number one. The other point is, while we will take their money, here we go again, asking for their money.
That was
Here we go again.
That was my thought. I honestly was like, why are we not doing this from the ground up? Why are we going and asking top down? And what kind of strings are going to come with this money?
I just feel like, yeah, can we get there faster if we get the big businesses to give money? Absolutely. I mean, come on. Even an elementary school math kid can do that math, right? And no, we will get there faster if people that have trillions of dollars give you some of it. But we can do this on our own. We see the shift happening in a matter of what, 2 months? We see the shift. We see the empowerment of the people. We see the innovative ideas, just like people are waking up like, I got an idea and I'm moving with it. We see people making money moves. We see people banding together in these groups and coming together and trying to figure out what the economic plan is. We see the gentleman, what was his name? Was it Byron Wilson, who did the video, How We Fight? That's been trending. And we see his plan for how we come together, buying Black, banking Black. I just don't know why we have such a hard time trying to invest in ourselves, and why we always revert to needing someone else's help. And again, I'm gonna take your money. They give it, we'll take it. I mean, we're not stupid, but I just wish we believed in ourselves enough to try to do it on our own.
But isn't that what the 10K project is?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that to me was the core. I had the same reaction as you. I'm like, why are the amount of money that he's saying and spreading it out over a decade? We could do that ourselves, as part of the 10K project. You put 1 million of us together, we work together, we can hit those numbers. So what he said in the end of the day ended up not being as extraordinary. But I did like the way that he outlined the plan. He outlined, okay, some of it go, and I would like to see his deeper plan, but some of it goes to healthcare infrastructure. Some of it goes here. I would like to see more than just the training for employment. Are we training some people for entrepreneurship? I noticed he didn't put that in there. I don't know if it was because he was talking to corporations or what, but but yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Okay. I have a little bit of different approach to this.
Okay.
So there's a part that hold on. There's a part of this. I do kind of see his point on some of these things completely. First of all, let me just say something like this. I'm a strong believer of the 10K project, so nothing that I'm saying is ever means anything less than that. But let me just say this from Mr. Smith's vantage point. And remember, he's the one, I think, was it last year or the year before, where he paid off all of the student loans for the graduating class?
Yeah, that's him. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that Robert Smith knows something, and he didn't, and he kind of talked about it somewhat when he mentioned the exclusionary practices and systematic racism. He knows something that, that he's really why he's calling these corporations out. And that is how they are rigging the game to really not allow other people to win in this. And I think a big part of that. Now, I will say one thing too about this. That is a key point that I didn't see as much focus on entrepreneurship, and it was much more on training workers. And I do think that some of that is him, how do I say it? Disarming them, that they won't have competition.
Yeah.
And, you know, that kind of stands out, you know, to me quite a bit, because the 10K Project, we're all about competition, no matter who you are. Like, that's what we're going to do.
See, that bothered me though, Eric, because I felt like, here we go, staying in our place again, always working for somebody else. We can't be ours. You can't scare them too much with your Black empowerment, because then they won't give you their 2%, even though we all know they write off 2% and flush it down the toilet every year. So 2% is nothing to them, which is why it's a perfect number for them, because they would easily give it. They would easily give it. But here we go again. Only the breadcrumb.
I see. No, and Tawana, I do. I absolutely understand and see that. Now, I will say, this plan, what he said, what he's rolling out, more so the methodology in which he's going about it, when he's going to these very wealthy, successful corporations, that's very much in line with the Booker T. Washington. Going to the Andrew Carnegies and having them invest in money for him for Tuskegee University so that he can train workers and that sort of thing. So, you know, and when I was reading it and listening to Shreya read it, that was clicking through my head. It really did have that sense to me of Booker T. Washington, which, you know, I get it. I think some of us, we're much more maybe on the W.E.B. Du Bois, where we're saying, no, we're good enough, and we're just going to go do it. Like, you know, and that kind of side. So I get it. Let me just say, and I'm saying this very objectively, you know, I'm not, you know, weighing in judgment on either side of it, but that's what I see into this. It was interesting too on the technological side, because I want to see more Black tech entrepreneurs.
Yes.
You know, so, and I want to see those Black men and Black women who would be creating the next Facebook, Twitter, whenever the case, dominating AI technology, blockchain, cloud computing, all of that. That's what I'm looking to see, and that's what I want to see come through the 10K Project, and for us to play a part in that. And I truly believe that we have that. I truly believe that those people are already out here.
Oh, they're out there already. They're just working for someone else, being stifled. Right? Their ideas are being stifled, and they're going home stressed at the end of the day because they've got the solution to the problem, but no one around the table will listen to them. Like, this is the stories we hear day in and day out from innovators. And if they had the support to step out and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build this myself. If they had the financial support, the business development support, and the support of the community to say, once I build it, y'all gonna buy this stuff, right? You're gonna participate in whatever this service is. Then it's all, you know, it's all worth something at the end of the day. I just feel like they're waiting for that ownership, or for that ownership in the idea, not even just so in the business, in the idea, right? They're looking to be around like-minded people who understand some of these problems. You know, as a person in corporate America, and you sit around the table, you hear all these people talking, and you're like, oh, if they just shut up and listen for a minute. Like, we could have been out of this room 2 minutes ago, right? Or 2 hours ago. If they just, this could have been a 2-minute meeting if they just listened.
Yeah. Well, I want to say, Joseph Williams is saying that is what attracted me to you guys, striving to be self-sufficient as a community of people. And we appreciate that. The other thing I want to point out is Robert Smith pointed out $45 billion over a 10-year period, mind you. $45 billion, he's saying, would produce $1 trillion of additional, is it wealth? It was specifically $1 trillion to the Black community. I want to make sure I got this right. It would increase the nation's economic activity by more than $1 trillion. So it's not necessarily wealth, but it is income. So what he's saying here right now, the Black community gets and spends about 1.4 trillion is the last number I heard. From $45 billion, we could double that. $45 billion. And y'all, it sounds like a huge amount of money. It's not, especially over a decade. It's not a lot of money. And investing it in things that are the future, technology, healthcare infrastructure, things like that. The guy basically gave us a good blueprint here, to look at. And I have to say, as a platform, we can't guarantee return on investment.
Right.
We're not telling you what to invest in. We're not telling you what entrepreneurs should only come to the platform if you have this. No, that's not the point of this. The point of this is for us to start thinking like they do. Thinking like they do. Robert Smith is in meetings with the top of the top of the top people, and he has this laid out. Why are we not looking at it and looking at it seriously and going, well, what can we take from this? I know some of the rooms I've been in, some of the conversations I've heard, some of you would be shocked, and what I'm hearing. I'm like,
actually,
that's
I
a
wouldn't.
thing.
I would have heard it too. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Well, that's the problem. We're all in this small part of our own world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we are the few chosen that get the seat at the table, right? And that's the small table, right? That's the kids' table we at, right? I know I'm at the kids' table. I'm not at the adult table. But even at the kids' table, the things I see and hear would blow your mind. So I can only imagine what's happening in the C-suite at the adult table.
Yeah.
Can only imagine.
Well, I will tell you, I actually have it here. Hold on, guys. Okay. This thing here is from Ernst & Young. This has been for about a year on my wall here.
Okay.
So this thing here is specifically for women. You have to make over $2 million a year in order to belong to this. It's Entrepreneurial Winning Women, and it's done by Ernst & Young, and you are, able to come and they take your business from 2 million to 200 million and all of that. But one of the things that they said, which was why I'm like, I want to get into this. Once a year, Ernst & Young has this special, weekend where they invite all of their clients to come and network, and anybody who is a part of this here gets to network with them. And I thought, I want to go here one day, and I want to go to Davos one day. Davos is in Switzerland. It happens every January. It's where the 1% goes to talk about the economy and what's happening and what they're doing. I just want to be a fly on the wall for these conversations. Then I come back and tell y'all everything they said, but members only. It's not going to be a public thing. Members only. I'll be like, kind of like Vanessa Braxton does. Vanessa Braxton's like, I can't tell y'all everything, but I'll tell y'all this piece. But yeah, I mean, that's what we need too. We need people who are going into these rooms and hearing these things, and not only coming back and telling us what's happening, but how we can apply it. How do we get a piece of that? Because I don't think they'll give us 100%. I'm not that naive. But, if we're able to get 10%, that could mean huge things for our families, So, yeah.
What were you going to say, Eric?
No, I was going to ask Sheree, do you mind holding that up for me one more time? That
Sure. Yeah. This is it here.
That's Ernst & Young, huh?
Ernst & Young. Yep.
Interesting. It's for the black lady on the front cover of it, huh?
Even though it's for all women, I noticed that as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's really, okay.
Yeah, and it is for women of any ethnicity. I don't think it was just women of color.
I just say that, and it could be the case. I would look at and see how many black women they have at senior management.
Probably, and they may not have a lot of black women as part of this program. Again, it was you had to make $2 million for 2 years in a row, I think, for you to even get invited to this program.
Yeah, and to be really frank with me, see, that's a problem for me, because that's already a gate then that goes up.
But I mean, that's how that's how things work, Eric, is that there
Oh,
are gates. There are gates. It's just like in your business of music publishing and music itself. I'll just say music industry, because I have an uncle who's in the movie industry. There are gates. And if you can get past those gates, the world is open. If you can't, you're out, So, yeah.
But we as in the collective community, we have the ability to change the narrative, right? We have the ability to change it for generations to come. We have the ability to not have to borrow someone else's privilege to get beyond the gate. And we just have to believe that.
And you know what, can I just add one thing to that? And this is just what I believe is this year, this trend already started before, but this year has put it into overdrive. And that is, all three of us were all blockchain people, and we know of decentralization. And to me now, we are beginning to see we're going to see a greater decentralized world, and these big companies at the top, a lot of things are going to be led from the bottom up, even at a greater degree than what we ever saw before. And that's another reason too why these businesses and these companies coming through the 10K project have a chance to be truly disruptive on a level that they never were before because of that. So
yeah. So Joseph is saying, Tawana, amen. He's saying amen to you. Dean is saying very interesting. I think it was when I was holding up the Ernst & Young thing. So yeah, well, that is our conversation. We didn't have really any questions for tonight. So I hope everyone understands what's happening within the 10K project. If you don't, email us, ask us on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We've got a YouTube channel up and running. So things are moving ahead. And starting the middle part of this week, our Facebook ads are going to go into overdrive. And our media department, is going into overdrive as well. So thank you to all of you who have suggested podcasts to us and social media people. Keep those suggestions coming, because we do have a running list in our CRM system, and we want to connect with any and everybody that would have us and will allow us to tell our stories. So with that, Tawana, Eric, I think we left it all on the table tonight. I think we did.
I'll just add, we are going to start moving some more exclusive content into the members only page. So if you've joined us here in the Facebook group, but you've not yet joined by paying your $100 lifetime membership fee, then I suggest you go ahead and do that soon, because some real conversations are getting ready. This is just a teaser. This is the appetizer. The real meat and potatoes will happen in the members group, and we don't want you to miss it, and we don't want to miss seeing you there. So, if you feel like this is, you're in, right? This group is something you want to be a part of. You want to help fund Black businesses. If you're an investor, you want to earn equity. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to either get the training and or be considered for the platform. This is where you want to be. Go ahead and pay the $100 membership fee so you can be a part of that members only group where we're getting ready to get live.
Yes, because we are going to be talking about that very first conversation on July 7th. In the evening is going to be about group economics 2.0. And these types of discussions that we're having now, we're actually going to open it up to all of our members and have you as a member give us your feedback, whether you're on the phone or, et cetera. So this is going to be a two-way conversation, because we want to be able to take the stuff like the things that Robert Smith is saying and say, how can we implement that? And not only do we implement it, we own it as well. So now you have everybody within the community getting a piece of that action, depending on the portfolio you put together and the businesses you fund. So Dean is asking, will we have a provision to list beneficiaries to our investments? I think, go ahead, Tawana.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I feel like I saw something in the platform, but that's a Talisha question. Dean, we'll get the answer and we'll post it right in this same comment channel. We'll answer you. I think Talisha can answer that question to see if the platform has that capability. And if it does have that capability and we haven't yet executed that, then we'll go ahead and see if we can build that in as well. Because I think that's very important.
Yes, yes. So we will definitely take a look at that, but we'll make sure you're covered, Dean, in the best way that we can. So Eric, I cut you off there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just excited. Like, I love having these discussions. I think that they're longer than we have them, and I'm just looking forward to the progress that I just know we're going to make with it. So I'm really proud to be partnered with all of us and the community itself at large, playing a big part of it. So let's do this.
Let's
do
it.
Robert Smith, if you're listening, come join us and talk
Yes,
and help us
please.
better understand your plan.
Absolutely.
Yes, help us better understand it, because we know you know more than you can tell. We know. We get it.
Yeah.
And become a member, Robert Smith. Become
That's
a member,
right.
$100.
That's right.
Look,
that.
that's like nothing for you, Robert, right?
Wait, I got one better. Robert, how about you pay $100 membership for everybody at Morehouse?
See, I like how you think, Tawana. That's right.
All right, everybody. God bless you. We will see you on Wednesday. I do my personal finance. That's lunchtime on Wednesday. So if y'all want to come back for that, feel free. God bless you. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.